So recently, I got another project, and this one's from Copart. It needs a little bit of work. Now you can see it was hit pretty hard right here. It actually was hit hard enough that the rear quarter on the passenger side even wrinkled. There's a little work to do up front too, but today we'll be focusing on the rear end and getting that structure back into shape. And here are a couple more pictures of the damage, and you can even see that the hinges for the hatch got damaged, and one of them is bent more than the other. It's Nick from the future here to tell you a little more about this car. This is a 2006 Audi A3 with a 2.0T engine. This has been totaled, and we bought it from Copart for $625. So yeah, our goal for this series is to see if with no experience and basic tools, we can fix the structural damage and get this car back on the road. Now, for us, this car is really, the goal is for it to be a parts runner, picking up parts of the junkyard, maybe a yard car, and maybe one day even bring it to the track for fun. It's not a car we'll be reselling, and it's really a learning experience for us. When we wrap up this series, we'll cover the costs and whether it's something you should consider. Is it worth it to buy a car that's been crashed and fixing structural damage? Now, unfortunately, I did lose footage of removing the bumper and the hatch and pulling the interior out from the rear, but I'll be showing you more of that when we do the reassembly and later on when we do an interior swap. So let's cut forward to that, and I can show you how bad the impact was on the back of this car. So let's get to it. So now that we have the rear of the car disassembled, we can see where most of the damage is and what we have to fix. We can see that the car took a hit above the crash structure, so the bumper reinforcement actually is untouched, but it did get tweaked right above it on the bracket, which got pushed in. The damage to the structure here really suggests that it was hit pretty hard in the back, because it was all wrinkled. In order to fix that, we're going to have to pull some of this out. You can see there's some damage in here. I actually pushed in the subwoofer and broke the enclosure for it. And it's actually stuck in there. If you look here, you can see how it goes curved up on the driver's side, and so we'll have to pull all this out. So we're going to use the porta power to push against there and slowly work this back into shape. We'll be going into a little more detail later about how to set up the porta power in the trunk to push the bumper back out, but here you can already see how much we're able to do on this first pass. And here's some of the experimenting we did, trying to push inside the spare wheel well, but that wasn't super successful, so we actually found a better solution later on. So even with this preliminary push, we were able to make some progress, and we were able to remove the crushed subwoofer, so that's a big step. However, there are some limitations with this setup, and the brace we were using was actually starting to get pushed out of shape and damaged a little bit, so we had to move on. So we're going to be pulling this here. Got our big clamp. We have our chain, our winch damper, our porta power, then another chain tied to the F250, and the pump is further out of the way so that we have a little bit of safe distance. Then we have our chock on the truck and our chock on the Audi. So let's see how this goes. Now when you're using these clamps, make sure they're really tight because you don't want them to slip off and go flying. Let's pull in the car. And also these hydraulic porta powers are really powerful, so they will start pulling your car or even your 6,000 pound truck too. A lot of people like to anchor them to a tree, but the only tree I have is pretty small and I don't want to damage it, so that's why I used the pickup truck instead.
pulling the truck forward.
The creaking we're hearing is most likely due to the suspension settling and compressing as we pull, but it's possible that some of that is also the metal being pulled out.
Looks like it might have actually done something though. This is not pulled anymore. I think we're gonna have to just pull here.
Okay. And here you can see we repositioned the truck.
Pulling the car again. Yeah.
So here I started the car to get the power brakes, but it turns out that having the brakes just held on with the car off is just as good.
It looks like it's better here.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have to just figure out how to pull. Push. Pushing was the only thing that really worked. That's what we're gonna have to figure out how to do. Yeah, it definitely did some work. This is still tweaked, but it's getting there.
Now, if you're wondering why we keep pulling from the same spot over and over again, it's because as you pull the metal out, or the structure out, it'll pull out to a certain point, and when you let go, it'll retract, but it won't retract all the way back to where it was, so every time it pulls it out a little bit further. And this is why you have to be extra careful when you work with chains. What happened here is just one of the hooks on the two front hooks of the F-250 popped off and jangled everything.
Yeah, if we could just push, I think we'd be able to push this out. But we'll try pulling one more time.
We're getting improvements here, and in here. Right here, this has been pulled out. This is really kinky.
Here too.
Yeah, out of that spot.
Now you might be thinking, well, you didn't show how to remove the interior to get to all this. Don't worry about that. In an upcoming video, we'll be actually doing a whole interior swap from the tan to black. So keep an eye out for that and subscribe if you don't want to miss it. If you look closely here, you'll actually see the metal retracting back.
I've noticed that a lot of this has come out. This is no longer folded completely in. Neither is this. This has less of a kink in it.
Yeah.
Because like here, this is much better, but it's still pretty bent. And this is still kind of bent. If we could push here, but also if we could push here, flatten that out, and then maybe here would push this farther out. But it's just, this is moving too much, that's moving too much, and I think it's just not giving us what we need.
So after doing some pulling, which got us out about maybe 1.5 inches here, we're gonna do some pushing inside again, but since the piece over here, the brace got pushed in by the ram, I added in this angle iron to brace it. And so it's not great welding, and I unfortunately forgot to turn the camera on. It was set up, but it's welded here and here, a little bit after grinding off the paint, and that should hopefully give us some enough strength to push in here, which will allow this to come out just a little half-inch further, and get the trunk, the hatch to line up properly. Not my finest work. Some of the welds popped off.
So obviously that didn't really work out. And since it pulled up some of the sheet metal, we're hammering it back down to make it flat, and we're gonna try again. And if you're welding in the interior of your car, you can use a welding blanket to protect the seats and mitigate fire risk. Here I'm doing small sections one at a time so that it doesn't blow through the thinner metal that the car is made of. This is pretty common when you're welding sheet metal.
Just some extra welds, a little thicker. Let it cool down, and what we're gonna do to give this the best chance is to brace this against that, so we'll help protect, support this. Yeah, I think it might be. Yep. So got a little thin piece of metal. This part of the porta power kit, I'll brace it so that when we're pushing on here, we've got the welds that hold it, we got the welds on the back, and we've got this transferring a little bit of force that isn't going to be held by this, or any like twisting will be supported in there. So hopefully that'll work.
Pushing. It's actually pushing. And then.
Oh yeah, you really see it.
Yeah, that definitely helped. So, what we need to do is push here.
Right now, measuring from here to the seat is the same on either side, but this here, this gap is not the same as this one, which could be either because this is still in a bit, or that this got pushed out when we're pushing down here on the other side of it.
Let me see what we're gonna lose when we go back.
A little bit.
Trying to read where it's still dented. Here would be a decent place to push,
Yeah.
but it's gonna be off axis, and that's never good.
Yeah. No.
No, you know. But what if I push here? It's getting real close. Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to tell now because this doesn't line. It feels like when we're pushing this, it also moves this a bit. But I don't know.
I'm seeing this move enough that I'm confident in. Just gotta push it far enough that when it comes back, it doesn't come back too far.
Is there anything you want to tap on to release anything? Look at that. You see this is improved again.
Yeah.
In an effort to try to prevent it from spinning back after you push on it, while it's under pressure, I'm going to tap on different spots that might be holding tension. So this is a good potential spot. There might be others on the outside.
Let's see how far it goes back. Shoot it back a bit. I think what I need to do is push here.
It's not a lot, but
That's something.
quarter inch or something.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's going into it.
So here we started a new attempt with the rubber tip on the porta power because we didn't want to dent the surface right there.
Yeah, so I have this up, so I'm gonna have to fix that later. Let's see. What's it doing to this?
I was pushing it out.
Oh yeah, that just mullered that.
Here we're checking that the brackets that mount on this area of the car still fit on, because if they didn't, we'd probably have to do some other stuff.
I think I could push here and there, and that's it. After that, it just is what it is, and we'll have to shim and see what we can do. Oh, that's really doing it. Look at that.
Yeah. I was moving a bit still, but yeah. Oh, we could probably add that extension in there.
Well, I guess I need, because I need to come a quarter of an inch out. If I can come a quarter of an inch more.
Maybe with the that. I don't know. Will you be able to fit it in with that extension?
Let's see. Yeah, it came back a quarter of an inch. If I can gain a quarter of an inch, we're going to be in good shape. Oh yeah, look, it pulled this almost straight.
Oh wow. Yeah, it is really good.
Almost there.
Screw can.
We'll have to pull that back in place
Yeah.
with the pry bar. That's almost straight.
Yeah, it's a lot better. You want to tap on it? Or? I don't know if we need to.
We'll let it sit and try to get the metal back in place. But It's almost there. Whoa. I can see what we got. Oh.
It's close.
Oh.
What? It punched a hole through it?
Yes, it did. Oh, jeez.
Little hole. We'll fill it in.
Boy. Oh, shit. That's not good.
I don't really know what else we can do. But...
Just gonna have to seam seal it.
yeah.
I think.
It's pretty good. It's really damn close. Yeah, I mean, we're like a quarter inch off, which...
Now, obviously, this isn't perfect, but considering this is the very first time we've done something like this, and, you know, we worked with the tools we had, I think it's really quite good. And you'll be able to see when we put it back together just how close we got and how we made it work.
So now that we've done the pushing on the inside, using this and that, it's time to take this angle iron out. And so you're going to cut the weld out here and here. Don't forget to use your face shield and ear protection. Get your preferred cutting implement.
Yep.
Now the combination of the die grinder and a regular grinder, I was able to break this off. I'll have to reseal this a little bit with some seam sealer, but I'm going to smooth this out and then be able to repaint this. That's good. This will be covered up, should be just fine. And yeah.
That's
This is
just
cleaning. Primer.
Now we'll let this first layer of primer dry, and then put on another coat and let that dry, and then we can move on to seam sealing.
smooth it so we don't have glue everywhere. I also want to get it in those holes. Yeah. Seam sealer has a strong smell. Trying to get it anywhere you don't actually want it. Now normally you would actually do that right and replace that panel, but since this is not the function of this car to be perfect, we're just gonna do a quick and dirty job. Now the nice thing about the seam sealer also is that it's paintable. So in the future, if you decided to paint the car again, you would be able to paint all of this blue, and then no one would know that you ever did any seam sealing at all. Except because there's seam sealer sticking out of the car. Ooh. Also, if you're looking for a trip, This will send you.
So the seam sealer we're putting on is to close up gaps that aren't supposed to be there. And the reason we want to do that is just so the water doesn't get in places it's not supposed to, and we're protecting the car as best we can. And with that done, that wraps up this stage of the rebuild. And that's it for this video. Fixing structural damage is a really big job, and we definitely learned a lot about the limits of our tools and what's involved. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and let me know what you thought in the comments. Next time, we'll start putting the car back together, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.